Hi, everybody. My name is Devin Hunter. I am an author from the San Francisco Bay Area. I love witchcraft. I love spirits. I love ghosts. I love crystals, and I love plants. And I write about all of these things over at Llewellyn Worldwide. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of everybody at Llewellyn for joining us today. And I also want to say thank you if you are a Modern Witch podcast listener for joining us, because I know this is something that we've all been really excited about. We've been talking a lot about. So the day is here. We are here. I also want to give my book a shout out. This is my latest book. This is Modern Witch, Spells, Recipes, and Workings. You can find it now. It is absolutely chock full of photos I took and my spells and my own workings, and it's all in this fantastic book that is available everywhere from Llewellyn Worldwide. In 2 months, I have another book coming out called Crystal Witch, or Crystal Magic for the Modern Witch. I'm blinking out because the lights. But yeah, it's Crystal Magic for the Modern Witch will be out in 2 months, and I'm really excited about it. It is a perfect follow-up to this book. Lots of photos, my own workings and spells and gnosis and things that I've come up with over the last 30 years as a collector. And so I was really excited to be able to put it all into a book. And when Anna reached out and asked if I was interested in presenting, I was like, well, heck yeah, let's talk about some crystals, because all I've been doing for 2 years is talking about crystals nonstop. And so I am like loaded with all kinds of good crystal info that I just need to get out, because it's kind of like Jeopardy, right? You got all this information that's only useful with a certain group of people. Well, here I am in front of that group of people. So I'm very excited to be talking about the thing that I love. Speaking of, my crystal book is a little bit different from a lot of people's, because the whole idea behind it is that the magic that we create with our crystals is uniquely ours. My goal with it, just like with Modern Witch and everything else that they do, is more about putting you in the driver's seat of your own witchcraft practice so that you can get the absolute most out of it, no matter what angle you're approaching it. So regardless of your tradition, regardless of your personal background, I truly believe that crystals can be something that you can join to just about every level of your practice, and you're going to get something out of it. So when I was collecting the crystals for today, I realized that I can't just talk about 7 stones. 7 stones, what? I mean, that was the problem we had with the book, was that I wanted to write more, put all these stones in the book, right? I love crystals. So we're just going to talk about a lot of stones today, and I've got about 20 minutes, so I'm going to just cram it in there. And I'm going to try to respond to questions as they flow. So if you got something and I don't answer it, go ahead and put it in the chat, and I will try to get to those things if possible. All right, so let's get started. So when we think about crystals, one of the first things that I get asked all the time is, what crystals do I need as a witch? Like, what are the best crystals? And the truth of the matter is, there isn't really such thing as a best crystal. There are crystals that are very easy to work with, and then there are crystals that give us a little bit more resistance. And what crystals are easier to work with versus what crystals give us a little resistance, totally personal thing. 100%. So some of us are going to find that like working with something like moldavite is really easy and we get really jazzed up. And then some of us are like, ugh, moldavite, I don't like moldavite. Some of us really like amethyst, right? I'm a big amethyst fan. We're going to talk a lot about amethyst today. And I know people who can't stand it. They don't want to be around it, near it. It doesn't work for them. They don't feel anything. In fact, it kind of does the opposite of what the crystal's supposed to do. So when it comes to this idea of what crystals work best, what crystals don't work, it really, really, really depends on you, your personal constitution, the things that you're working with these crystals for, and most importantly, if the crystal is capable of being an ally for you. And this is a really big term that I use in the book, and we discuss it ad nauseum sometimes. But this idea that you're working with the stone, you are partnering with the spirits of the stone. And there aren't just one spirit. We talk about divas a lot, or devas a lot, when we are talking about crystals, sometimes fairies, sometimes angels. And we like to think of crystals as being these super high vibrational elements that we can, kind of pull from and draw from. But the reality is crystals also have a bite. And in the book, I talk about working with the dragon spirit, the dragon energy that we find in crystals. And so that's the other thing that you want to consider, is that, yes, there are these positive, high vibrational energies that are, we can go work with for inspiration and for guidance in life, but there's these other energies that are involved with crystals as well that also might be impacting the way that you're connecting to it. So don't take it personal. If you're working with a crystal and you're just not getting that connection the way that you want, it's all good. Just move on, right? Now, what are the crystals, though, that are the easiest to work with, that most of us find to be the easiest to work with? And we're going to start with, I don't think, unsurprisingly to anybody, quartz, clear quartz, right? So quartz is especially awesome because quartz is found all over the planet. In fact, it's the most readily available crystal that we have on our planet. And what I really like is somebody who's also super into science. I'm a big science nerd. What I found inspiring was that the same quartz crystals, way that crystals grow here on our planet, they're growing the same way on other planets elsewhere because it's minerals that are forming these incredible lattices and forming these incredible crystals, the same minerals that are found all throughout the universe. So one of the things that I really like about quartz is that it gives us that instant connection to the all. And as a cultist, we work a lot with trying to get to the all and to understand what it means to work with this concept of being one, being part of a giant one mind, that beautiful sense that a lot of us refer to as the divine. Maybe we refer to it as God or goddess, in my case, God herself. And what I love about quartz is that it gives us that instant connection. It allows us to instantly tune right in and make that vital, again, connection to the energies there. Very easy to pull from. Quartz also loves to be worked with. I think more than any other stone, if you walk into like a crystal store, you're gonna find that the quartz are like singing to you and they want your attention. And most of the time, those quartz pieces are up front because they draw a lot of energy. When we had a crystal store, we put all of our quartz right up front because people would walk by. And you know, if you're a really serious collector, you want some of the really trippy, cool stuff that we had further in the back. But most people are going to be enamored by that gorgeous, amazing piece of quartz that's just shining and beautiful. And luckily for a lot of us, we can find this pretty inexpensively. So it's one of the stones that, again, it's everywhere. If you are into mining your own, chances are in your country, there is a place where you can go mine quartz responsibly. You can actually go in, pay a little bit of money, you work with the private landowner, they then take that money and then put it back into the land to help reclaim mines and things like that. It's a phenomenal way to go about it. And if you ever get the chance to do that and to work with the earth in that way, I highly recommend. Because a lot of the times, and this is something I go into the book that we don't have time to go into today, but a lot of the times we don't have all the facts about exactly where our crystals are coming from. So it's always best if you can, get right to the source, right? Okay, now there's a lot going on with quartz. It's a huge family. There are so many different varieties of it. And so we're going to kind of go through a very quick breeze here of different types of quartz in the family and how we can work with them. So the first one is we've got the amazing, beautiful rose quartz. And rose quartz is a stone that I was just tweeting about this the other day. I think rose quartz is like the least respected when it comes to the quartz family. And the reason for it is that a lot of us just associate it with love. And so we're like, oh, love, oh, it's love energy. But what you don't understand about the rose quartz is that this is like fierce self-love, right? Because quartz is connected to the all, that idea that we are connected to one, we are part of the all. And so quartz isn't really too concerned about, whether or not you're going to fall in love with somebody or you're going to heal that broken heart. It'll help you heal the broken heart as long as it means that it's getting you closer to loving yourself. And that's why we love rose quartz. So as a witch, we're constantly going up against forces that are tearing us down, taking our energy away, confronting us in ways that maybe make us feel less than. And rose quartz specifically is a phenomenal stone to work with to help curve those things. It's also a great stone to have in your home if you have like a lot of, aggressive energies or people are arguing and things like that. Definitely go check out rose quartz and just put it around your home. And it helps everybody calm down, find that love inside themselves so that they don't have to be bringing out the drama, right? Next thing is citrine. And citrine is a personal favorite of mine. Citrine is said to be one of the only stones. There's two stones, although I just read the other day it's supposed to be four. I think this just depends on what you're into. But it's supposed to be one of two stones that is self-cleansing. So this is why I love citrine. It cleanses all stones. So it will go through and it'll help remove any of the programming that's happened. Somebody who owned a crystal store, I can tell you people are constantly coming in, picking up a stone and saying, oh, I really love this. This is mine. This is mine. They'll hold it and they'll just put all their energy into it. They'll walk around for about 30 minutes and then they'll go and drop it off and go, actually, I think I want this other stone. Well, that whole time they were just programming that stone, right? So citrine is a stone that you can put in with your other crystals to help cleanse out other people's energies, even cleanse out some of your own, and help reset those things. My little trick with citrine is that you can get, if you're somebody who wears a lot of jewelry or you carry a lot of stones with you, go get a little pot and put brown rice in it. Brown rice is used in feng shui to represent the element of earth. And I put a piece of citrine inside of that, and it becomes a cleansing station for my jewelry. And so I can take my jewelry off at the end of the day. I can put it in there. So no matter what I went through, no matter what crazy class I taught or insane time I had at the airport or any of those other things that might have gotten in my way that are going to mess with my vibration, I can just drop those things inside of well, for me, it's a little crockett pot, and take it out the next day, and it's perfectly cleansed. So it's a really great way of working with that. So citrine is a phenomenal cleanser, and I think that the claim that it is a self cleanser, in my experience, is true. So it is. I don't ever really have to clean my citrines. Actually, I've never had to clean a citrine. I just kind of empower them. So there's that. All of that's in the book. All right. The next thing that I want to talk about in the quartz family are some of the quartz that have inclusions. And so this is golden healer quartz. And golden healer quartz has iron in it, which gives it this beautiful, I don't know if you can see that, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fissures and the coloring that's in there. And golden healer quartz is, it's not too expensive anymore. It was, if you were in the 90s and you were looking at crystals, you found this stone, it was pricey. It isn't anymore. And so you can use this stone, you can find it pretty easy, and you can use it in your personal healing practices. And if you're because so many of us are working in healing arts, if you're somebody who's working with guides, like specifically healing guides, this is a phenomenal stone to work with. Golden healer quartz is phenomenal to help channel those guides, bring them in, but it also does something else. It'll help you reset your energy after a session. And we all know that that's like, that can be a make or break kind of thing if you've got a long day, right? So I'm a big fan of golden healer quartz. I'm also a big fan of hematoid quartz. So hematoid quartz is, again, it's quartz that has iron in it, but it comes off with this delicious red. Sometimes this is referred to as firecrackle quartz. We'll get to the questions in the end, but yes, firecracker quartz. And it is, it's kind of a chill pill. That's my joke. I call it my chill pill. So when I am stressed, when I need grounding, I go and work with hematoid quartz. Hematoid quartz has more iron in it. That's why that's why the coloring is deeper. And so you've got little veins of iron running through that quartz. It's an excellent filter. It is an excellent additive to any working where you are purifying energy, you're cleansing energy through. It's fantastic. I highly, highly recommend, especially if you are doing any sort of astral work, you have a problem with getting back into your body or feeling like you fully recover after astral work, it is a phenomenal stone to go with, okay? So just real quick, just answer some of those questions before we move on away from the quartz family. Yes, you can use citrine to cleanse other stones, and you can use that method to cleanse other stones. I always say, give it a little bit more time, right? Because it doesn't necessarily replace the burying method. But in my book, every single stone that is listed, I also list the preferred cleansing methods. And that's for everything from, literally every stone in the book has its cleansing methods there. So if you're somebody who's like, how do I cleanse this particular stone? Not only do we talk about the methods, but I also tell you for each individual stone how to do that. And for me, that was a must-have with this book. Okay, so I'm going to move on because I know we're going to be running out of time because I get to talk about crystals forever, right? Okay, the next stone that I want to talk to you about is Sodalite. So I actually have two versions of Sodalite here, and this is the first one, and this is the second version. So Sodalite is pretty amazing. If you are somebody who, as a psychic being, if you are somebody who has a problem with like energy sticking to you, or if you are somebody with, in my case, I have ADHD, and so I have a hard time kind of getting over those like weird emotional like brainstorms that tend to happen. And so working with a stone like Sodalite really helps bring the anxiety down. It really helps to calm that storm that's inside so that we can bring focus to the things that really matter. So if you're overwhelmed, if you're somebody who gets overwhelmed by energy, or you're somebody who tends to go into meditation and then feel like you're bombarded with a whole lot of stuff you got to process, Sodalite very much helps to organize those things, bring those things into a pattern and a rhythm for yourself that is processable, okay? Because they're there, right? You still got to work with them, but if you can't actually focus on one at a time and go through the process, there's no way you're going to fully be able to cope and deal with those things and heal from that. So it's a fantastic stone to help along with that. The next stone that I want to talk to you about looks pretty similar. In fact, they actually have a very similar constitution, and that is lapis lazuli. And so lapis lazuli is pretty amazing. And we found more mines. So again, I'm going to reference the 90s because that's when I started like really getting into like the crystal stuff. If you were in the 90s and you were looking for lapis, it was so expensive. It's still pretty expensive comparative to like a quartz. But if you are looking for it now, it is a lot cheaper. So it is a lot more findable and readily available. But what makes it special is, I don't know if you can tell, but there is pyrite chunks. There's little veins, because this is a sedimentary stone. So there's these veins of pyrite that grow inside of the matrix for the lapis lazuli. And what makes that amazing is that pyrite grows in some stones, but not all the stones. And pyrite is, we used to call it fool's gold. I think it'll probably still be called fool's gold for a while, but guess what they just found as I was writing the section for this, guess what they just found? It has actual gold in it. So they found trace amounts of real gold inside of pyrite. And so pyrite's really incredible because it literally, it's got gold in it. You can work with the vibrations of gold. You can access those things through pyrite, which is amazing. So let's get back to our lapis here for a second. So lapis is really incredible for bringing in the higher ideals. If you are somebody who you're on a spiritual journey, if you are looking for answers, if you are looking for spiritual authority within your own life, this is the stone to work with. I equate it to a couple of different tarot cards, and it depends on kind of what angle I'm trying to really kind of get at. But for me, this is definitely a emperor card kind of energy. This is very like setting boundaries and bringing things together so that things can grow, things can develop and move on. So if you're somebody who's project oriented, if you are somebody who feels like your spiritual path involves having to organize projects and having to get a lot of different, herd cats, as we like to say in paganism, this is a stone that can very much help you step into that role of authority, you step into that role of leadership. And that's something that a lot of us in our world, especially in our spiritual community, we just kind of thrust into, right? Leadership stuff. So this is a great stone for our spiritual leaders in our community. The next stone that I want to talk about, I feel like Vanna White, I'm just going to go through. Next stone that I want to talk to you about is the amazing tiger's eye. And tiger's eye it's really incredible. And there's a couple different versions of tiger's eye out there. You can get blue tiger's eye. You can get red tiger's eye. You can get tiger iron, which is the same stone, but it has veins of iron that has grown inside of it, and so on and so forth. So there are quite a few varieties out there, and they all circle back to the concept of, for me, when I work with them, it's all about self-sovereignty. It is all about knowing your intuition, but it's about really leaning in on your empathic abilities and your sensitive psychic, your receptive psychic abilities. So you can trust those things. This is a big deal. A lot of us have issues trusting our psychic information that's coming in, trusting our abilities. And this is a stone that's pretty incredible to help with that. Of course, I think I can't help but think of Practical Magic. There's a scene where Jilly has to go back to get her necklace, which causes a lot of problems. But and it's a tiger's eye necklace. And so for me, it also means protection, even though it doesn't necessarily have that classical association, because I picked it up in a movie. And since I was like a kid, it's just been a protective stone. So I also work with it for protection. So that's just the honest to the goodness truth about why that works that way. But it doesn't actually have a classical association with protection. So there's that. All right. The next stone that I want to talk to you about is a crowd favorite, and that is Labradorite. So Labradorite is one of my favorites. This was actually not on my original list of stones today, and it was the one that was like, no, you can't talk about magical stones without talking about me. So do you see this shine that's coming off of it? This is called chatoyancy. So that flash that comes through, chatoyancy. It's a very fun word. Everybody say it with me, chatoyancy. So chatoyancy is that flash that we get out of the color, or out of the mineral. And what's happening with lapis, or not lapis, sorry, what's happening with labradorite to make it so incredible is that all of the feldspars, any of the feldspars, it's moonstones, they're all related, and they all have that ability to do that amazing flash and have that energy. What I love about working with labradorite specifically, as a being who I'm a medium, that's part of my day job. I work a lot with labradorite when I am meeting new spirits, when I am meeting new spirit guides. If I'm working with a specifically divine beings, whether they're guardians or so on and so forth, being able to have that stone with me builds a bridge for me to them to work on, to build a relationship. And it's something that I really have started to lean on. I really think of it as if we were to kind of think of Norse mythology, even though it's not at all related to it, for me, I make this association, it's the rainbow bridge. It helps connect us to the land of the gods. And so for me, I work with it a lot whenever there's a new spiritual adventure, whenever there are new energies to be working with, new spirits. I'm always holding on to my labradorite, and I just love it very much. A version of labradorite that I have somewhere, I just couldn't find it in my office today, is black labradorite, which is called spectrolite. And spectrolite it's the same thing as labradorite, it's just darker, okay? And it does have a interesting lower, not in a bad way, but like a lower vibe. So that definitely helps connect to, land of the dead, helps us connect to the underworld, those sorts of things. So as I work with labradorite to go up and higher, I work with spectrolite to go deeper, okay? Speaking of going deeper, where'd it go? Aha. So this is, it's a little dusty, but this is a piece of raw Iolite and sunstone. And this is something that we can find a lot more of these days. Again, it wasn't always something that could be found or was available, but it is something we can find a lot of these days. And what I love about this is that it is literally Iolite and sunstone mixed in a sort of quartz matrix. And sunstone helps us go up, right? It helps us go to the overworld. It helps us go to that, the top of the tree, of the world tree, where Iolite helps us go down, right? So you've got both of those things, both of those energies within this stone. You have the ability to go up and you have the ability to go down. And of course, quartz is a fantastic stone to represent our middle world. So when you get all three of those together, you have the world tree and a stone. And I take this everywhere. I take this to festivals and events when I'm casting circles and I'm doing any what we refer to as the witch's compass, any of that central work. I'm working with this stone. It's very powerful and it loves witchcraft in a way that like other stones don't always like love to be worked with and kind of asked to do things. This stone's like, yeah, let's go for a ride. So it's very exciting. There's that. Okay. So I want to talk to you about moonstone real quick. And because how could I talk about witchy stones and not talk about moonstone? That would just be a crime, I think, right? However, the only version I could find right now is my green moonstone. So this is green moonstone, and it's called garnierite, is the fancy term. And it is moonstone. It's the same thing as like white, or what we call common moonstone, which is like kind of the white, brownish, pinkish, that color. There's three color tones all kind of come in as moonstone. And this is a new one. So this actually came in, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago was when we first saw this, and at least on the market to go be able to grab at the big wholesale shows. And this I just fell in love with. I mean, I love everything green, as you can tell, but green moonstone, what? So this is one that I work with. I'm working with specifically with the plant kingdom to help me better understand my intuition, my spiritual connection with my plants. And as you know, I have a lot of plants. So this is just incredible. And one of the things that I do a lot of is I do crystal ball gazing in this beautiful, beautiful moonstone. Moonstone helps us connect to obviously the quote unquote divine feminine, but even more so, it helps us connect to the elements of life that often remain a mystery. How easy amazing can we apply that to like just about everything, like especially as witches? Mystery. We're all about mystery as witches, and so that's why I think people love moonstone. Obviously, it's obviously also connected to the goddess. We love our goddess, but there's something very, very special that is here within moonstone that connects us to this idea of mystery, of being able to understand mystery and unfold into those mysteries. So I highly recommend moonstone. Again, there's all of these different varieties of it, and it's something that you can find pretty much anywhere. I think every crystal store has moonstones in it. And again, I go through all of the different varieties of moonstone in my book. So there's that. Okay, whew. Moving on. So this is the amazing malachite, and I love malachite for many, many reasons. I do want to warn you, because it has copper, it is toxic. So this is something that you don't want to lick. And you especially don't want to, so this is it in its polished form. It's really quite stunning. Looks like a dragon scale, but very heavy. And then we've got it, this is it in its natural form. It's actually kind of velvety in a really cool, fun way. This is a stone that it's you can work. I don't want to, when I say it's toxic, I want you, oh my God, no, malachite's great. If you have malachite jewelry, you're fine. You know, those things. We don't want to drink it. We don't want to ingest it. You don't want to put it in your body. Like those are things you don't want to do. It has copper in it, and that can lead to a lot of other toxicity and things that you just don't want. So don't do that, right? That's bad. But it is a pretty incredible stone to work with. And a lot of us work with it. I mean, because it's green, I think a lot of people work with it for money, right? And we tend to do that here especially in the United States. We associate green with our money because that's the color of our money. And so you absolutely can do that. But when I love to work with it the most is for stability. So, and I write about a bunch of other stuff with it in the book, but today I'm talking about stability. So I really love the energy that this brings into our projects when we're trying to manifest things, when you're trying to bring things from, you know, as above, so below, you're trying to pull that energy down. Malachite is fantastic for manifestation. It is fantastic for manifestation, and it is fantastic for bringing a solid foundation for the things that we are trying to manifest. So highly, highly, highly recommend malachite. Now, the last stone, because I think I'm running out of time here, the last stone that I want to talk about, actually I'm going to do two more. I'm going to do two more. I got 3 minutes. I'm going to do it. I'm going to run, right? All right. So second to last stone is fluorite. So fluorite is freaking incredible. I am obsessed with it. I think it's beautiful. We have a couple different colors here. We've got like a golden fluorite, which is really great. Fluorite is very easy to find. So you can go pretty much into any crystal store and find it. And what I love it for is that it activates, allegedly, it activates healing on a cellular level. So if you're working with somebody who has like, you know, cancer or anything where there's like a cell thing going on, or there's like a blood disorder, working with a stone like fluorite can really help benefit your energy as the practitioner as it's moving through to that patient. Okay, so I work when we have those sorts of things going on. I really recommend working with fluorite. It is hands down the best, and you can drink it, so you can make elixirs with it and all of the good things. Okay, last stone that I want to talk to you about is calcite. So calcite is freaking gorgeous, and I am an uber fan of calcite. It is, the reason why I like it is just as we were talking about with malachite, how it does the as above, so below. Well, calcite does the same thing, and it does it in very tall order. So it is something that if you are a ritualist, I highly recommend having calcite in the corners of your circle spaces and things like that. Not only just help anchor the energy and you know, again, bring that energy of solidity, but more so because it is going to help bring the worlds into alignment. And so if you are somebody who manifests, if you are somebody who, we're witches, that's kind of like our thing, right? Like we manifest sometimes miracles, right? And so calcite helps us with that big time. And so yeah. All right. So that's it for today with that. But I am going to answer. There's two questions that came up. Amanda, do I have a metastone I didn't like? Yes, I have metastone I didn't like. And it is scolasite. And the only reason I didn't like it was because it poked me. It's got the scolasite grows with these little like pokey things, and I didn't realize it. And then it was like touching fiberglass, and it got stuck in my finger. It was horrible. Color does matter, not really. I mean, that again, this is the thing. We can all argue about it. I think it doesn't really matter too much. There are variations of the energy that you are going to get when you start working with color. So I will say absolutely. But I think we're talking about manifestation, things like that, I think it's great. Last question, does size matter? Well, I mean, I don't know. I think it in some cases it does, in some cases it doesn't, and that is not what I know. A lot of crystal teachers will say. I think for 99.999% of things, it doesn't matter. I think you can work with just about any size of stone, and you're going to be able to access the important things, right? But when we're talking about those big ritual workings and those big things, there is something to be said about having bigger stones that are capable of doing more and having more going on inside of them. So I would say it kind of depends on what angle you are approaching it. Otherwise, if you're, check out Crystal Magic for the Modern Witch, which is it's coming out in August, and I have loaded it with a bunch of energy. I'm also teaching a Crystal Magic intensive. You can go to modernwitch.com, and all month of August, I am teaching with the incredible Nicholas Pearson, who is an award-winning crystal author as well, and we're doing a whole month-long workshop intensive. Where we're meeting weekly and doing really cool magic stuff. So August is Crystal Month over at Modern Witch. So come and join us if you are interested. You can also pre-order Modern Witch right now on the Llewellyn website. You can get a signed copy from me, or if you're interested in getting it in those other places, you can get it at Barnes & Nobles, or of course, you can also call your local witchcraft store and ask for it by name. That is Crystal Magic by the Modern Witch by Devin Hunter. All right, I think that's about it, everybody. Thank you so much, and I will see you over at modernwitch.com. Find me on the tweets and Instagrams. You can find it all there. Thank you so much for your time. From everybody here at Llewellyn Worldwide, we greatly appreciate you, your energy, and just your incredible community that you help us build every single day.